I called this topic understanding adrenal fatigue because that's what a lot of people hear about online. But technically, if you go to your doctor and say, I think I have adrenal fatigue, they're gonna probably almost laugh at you because it is not a medical diagnosis or accepted term at all. But it just really describes exactly what we're feeling and kind of how it happens. So I use the word. If you're not super familiar with me, that's my family basically. So I'm a Christian, married to my hubby for like 17 years now. We homeschool our 5 kids, and we've got like a little mini farm and a way too big garden. And I love reading and studying. Um, my health problems probably all started with my brain surgery way back in 2004. And then I was pretty much nicely better from that. And then I hurt my back at work around 2006, ended up like all kinds of painkillers, antibiotics, bunch of UTIs, like everything just kind of fell apart. And then I went gluten-free in 2010, which was, it really helped me feel a lot better. And that was kind of my start into like, there's more than just the medications and the medical system that I studied. So I am not a doctor. I do not diagnose, treat, or cure diseases. I'm just here to teach you basically how your body works and what you can do to really work with it and get yourself as healthy as possible. So I am certified certified health and life coach. I did a special training in herbal medicine specifically for women's health. So that gives me a really good understanding of your hormones, kind of how our body even goes through the different stages, like from when we first start having our period, basically through our whole childbearing years, perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. And then I also became an integrative health practitioner. So I can do a lot more functional work through that. Like I do functional medicine labs and some quite deep, I don't want to use the word healing, but basically body rebalancing protocols. So a lot of the time, pretty much any problem we're dealing with comes down to stress, is like one of the main root causes. And stress doesn't always feel stressful. Like, especially as a busy mom, you're just so used to what you're doing all the time, you figure it's normal. And we compare ourselves, we're like, well, she's doing all that, I should too. And she has enough energy to do this, why don't I? But the other thing is, stress is also internal and external. So it could be like a disease you have, a virus, bacteria, your environment. Like some people's houses are moldy, or just even a really cluttered house adds stress, no matter how comfortable you are with your level of clutter. If you're not sleeping well, which as a mom, you get woken up like a bazillion times when your kids are little, and then you get to the teenage years and they start waking you up again. So sleep is a big problem. Um, your work, relationships, food sensitivities, which a lot of people don't realize they have because most of them kind of don't happen right away. So it could be 2 or 3 days after you ate something that your body starts responding. And then even like things we need to do, like digesting food, is actually a stress on our body, and so is exercise. So some stress is good, too much is bad for us. And it mostly comes down to how equipped your body is to handle it, and also if you get breaks or not. So we were designed with a really amazing stress response mechanism, I'll say, in our nervous system. First, something stressful happens and your nervous system kicks into alarm stage. It's like, this is a problem, got to deal with it now. That's when you'll feel like your heart starts pumping faster, the blood goes out to your extremities so you could run faster if you need to. It actually slows down digestion because your body's like, well, I don't have to worry about eating food. I need to run away or fight off whatever's happening. So when the stress keeps happening for a while, we end up in the resistance stage. And that's where a lot of us get, because, our phones keep beeping. We keep having to go to appointments. Our kids keep wanting food all the time. And just like on and on and on. Life is busy, it's full, and we very rarely actually relax. But the problem is our body was designed to handle the stress, deal with it, and relax until the next stress comes along. When we stay at a higher level of stress all the time, eventually we go into what's called the fatigue stage. So your body starts realizing that, I can't keep up this level of reaction. Because a lot of times in the resistance stage, we kind of feel like supermom. Like we are rocking this. Cortisol is pretty high. Nothing's like burnt out or worn out yet. It's kind of like when you have a new baby, you're so like relieved and excited to have this baby that those first few sleepless nights, they might not even be that bad and you feel really good. But after a while, you really start dragging and things start falling apart and slowing down. Now, our body tries to warn us that we're under too much stress, but most of the time we don't even know what we're looking at or noticing. And it's really gradual. So before, like, say hair loss, you lose a few hairs, you don't think too much of it. Eventually, you're losing like tons of hair. Your hair is super thin because cortisol levels have actually put your hair into basically resting phase. So like we need all our energy possible to handle this stress. You can go bald for all I care as long as your heart keeps beating and your lungs are working and all that. Then we also get stubborn fat because stress causes a lot of inflammation in our bodies. Because when the cortisol is high, it actually keeps our blood sugar levels high so that we have that energy to go. But if your blood sugar level stays high for too long, we start getting insulin resistant. Things start like sugar is sticky. So it's almost like everything starts sort of wearing out and sticking together. And your body has to fight that off now. So you get inflamed. Eventually, it'll dial down your thyroid production. It'll slow down estrogen and progesterone because you don't want to be getting pregnant and bringing a baby into the world when you're struggling to survive. So our periods start going wonky. You might notice like other thyroid symptoms, like, colder hands and feet, even just feeling cold all the time. Your energy's lower. Your metabolism slows down because your body is like, I need to hold all this energy. I'm not going to burn off anything other than the absolute essential. So again, it just kind of stores extra fat around our bellies and more in our thighs too. Now, as an integrative health practitioner, I have the option to do these cool functional medicine tests that show us like deep down at the cellular level what's happening in our body. So this one here it's like a simple P test, and it shows me basically what your vitamin levels are, because even if you're eating really, really healthy, if you've been stressed out for long enough, you could actually be missing some of the key nutrients that your body needs to make the enzymes to actually be able to digest your food and get the nutrients out of it. So this will show us, where your vitamin levels are at. It kind of shows how well you're metabolizing your food, if your detoxification is still happening well, and also bacterial and yeast imbalances, which are a really huge thing. Because as we get stressed out, we're more likely to eat comfort food, which will feed the yeast. The yeast gets more overgrown. We're more susceptible to bacterial infections. There's always the bacteria and yeast in our intestines, but because of stress, they get a chance to take over and get more out of balance. Sorry, missing the word there. Another cool test is the minerals and stress test. So this one is just a simple little hair sample, and it shows us the mineral levels in your body and also like how much stress you're under right now and how well your body is responding to it. Because minerals are like the spark plug of life. Just for example, some of the common ones, like you need magnesium to make ATP, which is how your cells get energy. It's like muscle and nerves don't work well without it. And it's really, really important for insulin levels. Zinc is like pretty common. A lot of people hear about it now with, after all the COVID infections and whatnot, a lot of people were using zinc to boost their immune systems. And it's also really important as part of healing damaged tissue, but we don't want to just take zinc because zinc has to be balanced out by copper. And copper is essential to have for our red blood cells to form and to carry the oxygen around our body. So without enough copper in our body, we're going to start feeling really exhausted. That's kind of true with all the minerals. They all work together. Like some will kind of, if one goes up, the other one goes down. So very rarely is it a good idea to simply supplement with a single mineral unless you've done the test and know for a fact that you are low in that one. Sodium and potassium work together a lot to move fluids in and out of the cells so that our nerve impulses can go through and so our muscles can contract to relax. And then like phosphate, we need it for our bones, our teeth. Basically, all of you is built with some phosphate and all the minerals. These are just sort of the key levels, just to give you a quick little overview. This test also shows us heavy metal toxicity. Aluminum is a super common one. And I just did my own test and I was really surprised. I'm quite high in aluminum. And I was trying to think, I'm like, well, I don't use aluminum pots and pans. I use aluminum cookie sheets, but I always have a parchment paper so under there so my food doesn't touch it. And like I'll cover a casserole with aluminum foil, but that's about all. Like I haven't used a deodorant with aluminum in it for years. But the thing that I discovered is it's also very common in the air. And especially like say when I'm cooking a casserole with the aluminum foil, the hot just sort of heats up the aluminum and some of it turns into a gas. So as soon as I open the oven, I breathe in a whole waft full of aluminum and then it spreads out through the house and it's not a big deal. Also, our city water, aluminum is super common in the filtering because the pathogens bind to aluminum easily. So of course, we don't want E. coli and other crap in our water, so they use aluminum to filter it out. But then unfortunately, they are also infusing aluminum in our city water. So that's why a water filter is super helpful. Now, this test here, I only use this one if someone is really deep in adrenal fatigue, we'll say. It's a super comprehensive test, but a lot of them you can also test with your doctor, like the hemoglobin A1C, even estrogen and progesterone. You can do blood tests with your doctor. You need to be really careful to get them at the right time of your cycle. Thyroid, typically the doctor will only test T4. I'm blanking on which one, but unless that number is out, they won't do the rest of them. Vitamin D, they pretty much don't test unless you want to pay for it yourself. Insulin levels, not too many doctors are going to look at that even unless you are showing some serious symptoms of being diabetic or pre-diabetic. But we want to get before you get there, because the longer your levels are out of whack, the more damage that happens in your body. If we can catch your body earlier when things are just starting to feel off and we can help you rebalance, you avoid a whole lot of damage and also you get more energy and you start feeling better faster. But I also teach my clients a whole lot of instant solutions because that's probably what you came for today. Movement is a huge one. Like if you think of animals in the wild, say a bunch of zebras out eating grass and all of a sudden a lion comes running at them, their stress response kicks in high gear, like cortisol, adrenaline levels are through the roof. They take off. And then as soon as they're safe, they just kind of shake it off and they go right back to totally relaxed. Whereas we commonly, we're stressed out and we just stay tense and anxious because we usually don't actually move our bodies enough. So after you have like a stressful thing, you want to just intentionally move your body as much as you can. Like just shake and dance if you need to, or if that's all you have time for, or go for a run, do a workout. Any kind of good movement helps your body just burn off that extra cortisol and switch back over from fight or flight mode to rest and relax mode. Breathing is another really good way to, we can switch our nervous system state from sympathetic, which is fight or flight, to parasympathetic, which is the relaxed, just by breathing. So if you take a nice deep breath in, and you want it like at least 5 seconds, nice and deep through your nose, fill your lungs right up. And then hold your breath as long as you comfortably can. Depending how stressed you are, you might not be able to hold your breath too much at all. And then just slowly let it back out. And as you let your breath out, intentionally relax your shoulders down at the same time. And if you do that like 5 times, you switch your nervous system over and you will generally feel so much more relaxed right away. Now, diet is a huge way we can help our bodies deal with stress. If you're kind of chronically stressed, one thing I do a lot is I drink a smoothie for breakfast because the smoothie is partly digested already. It's really easy for my body to just get all those good nutrients in. So I'm just kind of knocking down one little stressor of the day that I have total control over. I can't control if my kid's going to have a temper tantrum, if the phone goes nuts with all kinds of problems, if I hurt myself, if I get sick, but I can control my breakfast. Also, carbohydrates. Like a low carb diet is a pretty big craze right now, but our bodies use carbohydrates to basically mop up the cortisol, which is why, if you're feeling stressed out, you have the sugar and the carb cravings because your body knows that's what it needs. Now, we also don't want to go high carb, especially the simple carbs, because then we get our blood sugar high and we push ourselves into insulin resistance again. So it's all about balance. But we really need to pay attention to our bodies. I would say there is no like one perfect diet for everyone because our lives are also different and our bodies, they're similar, but they're also beautifully unique. And you have to figure out exactly what works best for your body. And then sleep. Sleep is so big for stress and healing. And it's really tricky because usually we get woken up, so we start wearing down. Then our cortisol levels, your cortisol and melatonin are like inverse hormones. So if your cortisol's high, melatonin will be low. If melatonin's high, cortisol will be low. Now, we're supposed to have kind of a high cortisol in the morning so that when you wake up, your cortisol's highest during the day and it actually gets you going. And then gradually through the day, it tapers down till you're quite low in the evening and you feel totally relaxed, chilled out, ready to go to sleep. Now, stress will kind of flip that curve over time so that you are like super groggy in the morning, barely get going, drink a whole lot of coffee, crash out of energy in the afternoon, have a bunch of sugary snacks, and then you get to bed and you're tired, but you can't fall asleep because your brain is just wired and it's like go, go, go. That's because your cortisol curve has completely flipped. So taking melatonin at night can help push that back down, but you want to combine that with lifestyle strategies that actually naturally help fix it because we don't want to just live dependent on supplements or medications. We want to actually get to what's causing your stress and help you deal with it, or strengthen your body as much as possible so it naturally has more resilience. Because you'll notice some people seem to be able to handle like all kinds of stuff, and you are at the end of your rope and you're like, I just can't. Like, I am done. I'm burnt out, fried. I've had it. Can I just run away and stop being a mom for a while? So if we go back, I use like the de-stress protocol to really help cover every part of your life. So we work on diet, it's exercise, it's stress response, toxins, rest, emotional balance, targeted supplements. I don't believe that it's a good idea for everyone to just all use the same supplements. And success mindset, because if you keep thinking about how tired you are, you will actually make yourself more tired. It's kind of like when you get a new car. All of a sudden, say you just bought a new red car, all of a sudden you will notice new little red cars everywhere on the road. Nothing's really changed except your thinking. It's the same with our stressful situations, our health. Once we start really thinking about it, we notice it more. As we notice it more, our feelings change because our thoughts create our feelings. And then our feelings generally fuel our actions. So if you're feeling, say sorry for yourself, you are much more likely to reward yourself with a nice Starbucks sugary latte next time you're uptown, or a couple extra candies because it's been a really bad day. So if we can work backwards and switch your thoughts, it has a whole cascade and it will naturally improve your life. Now, I have a couple of coaching packages that I generally work with women in. My 6-month standard package, it's if you're just kind of not feeling ideal and you want a little bit of a health tune-up. Then I have like the functional package. So if you're really noticing your hormones are off or you are absolutely exhausted and just right messed up and you know you need to dig deeper, that's the functional one. And then if you're like, I don't know if I really trust you, I don't know if I trust myself, not quite ready to make that investment yet, or if you've done one of these two packages and you're like, okay, I'm pretty good right now, but I just want to make sure I don't totally lose all my momentum and fall off the bandwagon, then I have my mini package. And all the details for those are on my website. You can use this QR code to get there.